Consistency plus time equals progress. I nailed my plan, but then the scale went up. Well, I've only lost X number of pounds. I'm doing all the right things. Why isn't it working? There's nothing more frustrating than feeling like you're putting in the work, but you're just like spinning your wheels, and going nowhere. Fitness frustration is a very, very real thing. Usually it comes down to this equation. The equation of progress. I often like to think of it in the context of fitness progress, but realistically speaking, this is the equation of progress for anything you may be trying to learn, be it a new skill or developing a new habit or whatever. It's pretty simple. It's that consistency plus time equals progress. In order to make progress, we have to be consistent and give it time. Otherwise, the habit simply won't stick. The behavior won't hold. The progress we may make will drop off, which oftentimes happens with fitness in general, right? Like a lot of people will work really hard, they'll see good progress, and it's awesome, but then that progress isn't maintained, which, I mean, in my opinion, what good is progress that doesn't last, right? Consistency plus time is really a major factor in lasting progress. So that feeling of spinning your wheels, it's like the worst feeling ever. Usually it comes down to this equation, right? Where we're maybe lacking the consistency, or we just haven't given it enough time, because this stuff does take time. But I want you to consider drag racing. So they have these super fast cars that drive in a straight line really, really quick. A pretty exciting race, really high speeds. But at the beginning of that race, what they do is they literally are spinning their wheels. They're spinning their wheels and going nowhere, which is that frustrated feeling. But what's interesting is what's happening is they're spinning their wheels to actually, from friction, they heat up the tires so that the rubber becomes like legitimately hot. And it starts to almost melt. Now, it's not like melting into liquid and the tires aren't exploding, hopefully. But what this does is it actually creates more traction so that when the light hits green, they're able to take off with that much more torque, that much more traction, that much more horsepower, and it gives them an advantage when it comes to like getting to the finish line. It means that they're spinning their wheels, but that wheel spinning is more productive than it appears. And I think that is oftentimes very, very true for us in fitnessy things. So we might feel like we're spinning our wheels. We might feel like we're going nowhere, but maybe we're just spinning those wheels. We're getting them nice and hot. We're getting ourselves ready to suddenly make great progress, or we're just setting ourselves up for long-term success. And we're going to reach that finish line, whatever the goal might be, that much faster because of the effort we're putting in early on, even if it feels like we're spinning those wheels. So what can we do about it? What can we do or focus on so that we're able to grapple with the common feeling of like, man, I'm doing all this work, I'm putting in all this effort, I'm really spinning my wheels here but not going anywhere. I've got a couple of action steps. First is to commit to the process as much as the outcomes. Obviously, we all want to make progress, whether that's with fitness or other goals or whatever. Like, we want to progress. We want to grow. Like, there is fulfillment in development in life. And so with fitness stuff, we have whatever our goals are, and we want to make progress on those goals. What often happens is we'll get very, very focused on whatever the goal is, whatever the outcome might be. That's what we want. That's what we're going for. That's what we're focused on. The problem with that is the way to get there involves lots of little steps along the way. That's the process. So we've got the outcomes, the end goal that maybe is a long-term goal. Maybe it's something that won't be accomplished for a long, long time, and that's what we focus on. But really, what's going to get us there are these little things day to day, week to week, that lead to the outcome. So the process is what matters more. If we can commit to the process just as much as we're committed to the end goal, it sets us up for so much more success along the way. Because usually the outcomes are largely out of our control. Like, yes, we can do things to optimize our progress towards a weight loss goal. We can make sure we're in a caloric deficit. We can make sure we're getting our steps in. We can make sure we're being physically active. We can do all these things to help ensure we have the right environment for the sort of progress we're looking for, but ultimately the amount that the scale changes is out of our hands. And oftentimes outcomes are that way. Outcomes are things beyond our control, whereas the process, those are the things we can do or not do in the day-to-day that are either going to set us up for success with those outcomes or not. And so if we can be just as committed to the process, just as committed to the like non-sexy, sometimes frankly kind of boring and tedious steps that we know will lead to the outcome we want, and if we can be just as committed to those small, simple, sometimes tedious things as we are to the end goal, then that consistency and giving it enough time to see the progress we want becomes so much more possible. So that's the first action step, is committing to the process just as much as we're committed to the outcomes. And then very, very related to that is the second action step, which is to take care of the process and let the progress take care of itself. Because if we take care of the process, if we take care of the daily things that we have control over, the outcomes, the progress, the results, the success, the stuff that we don't control as directly will take care of itself. And the less we worry about that, the more we can just focus on being consistent, giving it time, and letting the progress happen, rather than being so hyper-focused on what the scale says every single day, or how many pounds we're putting up on our bench press, or whatever example it may be. Like maybe you're trying to get better at chopping onions, and you're just like, man, it feels like I'm not getting better at chopping onions no matter how much I try. Just be consistent, give it time. Progress will come. It's a lot easier to be consistent and to give it time as we focus more on process-based goals rather than just the long-term result that we're looking for overall. The long term takes a long time. We need little wins, little victories along the way to keep us engaged and keep us excited about the progress we are making, so that we can keep being consistent, so that we can keep putting in the time, so that we are able to see the long-term progress we want to see. Because let's be real, it's really annoying to be ages away from whatever the goal is. Like, let's say you want to lose 15 pounds. 15 pounds is going to take a long time to lose. It's not going to happen overnight. We live in a time, in an era of Amazon Prime. Like, we're used to having things shipped right to our door immediately. Be that our next meal or our next stocking up of random household items through Amazon. There is this, like, I want it and I want it now. And we basically get what we want when we want it most of the time. But that's not the case with progress and development, and especially not the case with fitness. It takes time. We have to be consistent. And so as we take control over the things we can control, as we take control over the process and we give it enough time and we keep consistent, that progress will come. And having those little wins along the way, those things that we can celebrate as we go, will keep us engaged in the process, will keep us excited about the process itself, and it'll allow us to continue making those steps in the right direction. Because if all we are is focused on the end goal, we're gonna get mired and caught up in how far away we are from where we want to be, rather than seeing the progress that we are making along the way. And as we highlight those wins, as we recognize, and not just recognize, but celebrate the little victories with the process-based goals every step of the way, we're not only going to be excited about the progress we're making, we're going to be that much more likely to give it the time and consistency it needs, so that we see the long-term results we're looking for. All right, so thanks for watching. As you've maybe noticed by now, this is actually a series where I dive into five of the things I say most often in my coaching. If I'm saying them in my coaching, the rest of the world could probably benefit from hearing it as well. That's why I wanted to create this series. I'm gonna drip them out one by one, and then I'm actually gonna put them all together in a more condensed kind of compilation style video as well. So if you liked what I had to say today, one, go ahead and like it, like literally like the video, but also go ahead and share it with people that you think might also benefit from hearing these nuggets of truth that I share with the people that I coach to help them love food, be fit, and make progress. And then keep your eyes peeled for the next one. This was one part of 5 total, so make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're liking this stuff so you don't miss the next ones. Really appreciate you watching. I don't know, these are all things that I say so often in my coaching, and as such, I think they're things that need to be said more often in fitness at large. So I hope you were able to get something out of this. Feel free to share it with anyone and everyone and help people make the progress that is so elusive in this world of fitness.